Why do you want me to
רחמים רבים עלי סומך נופלים חובים ומתי הסורי ומתחייב אמונתו היא שלי אני חמו הוכה כבולות דו אבך מי ומך ומצמיח ישוע
Okay, good.
You gotta flip the thing.
Okay. So we're gonna do this. Okay. Okay. Now we dip, and whoever speaks
Can stand here and we'll come over.
No. Yeah, or they'll speak here. They'll speak here. Here.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
No, they need to speak into the camera. They need to speak into the
Okay, so then we'll flip it onto them. Hello?
Yeah.
So we'll flip it onto them.
Yeah. I just want to keep an umbrella.
Yes. Okay, so let me put this down. John said I should make this the loudest, but if he's singing, it's
Yeah,
like,
no, it's when someone's talking.
it's from the YouTube. Basically, when they speak, the loudspeaker, you'll hear them speaking. Because I'm connected through Bluetooth. You hear Steve chanting. Okay, so then we'll put this like he's crying and things. Okay, let me hold my hand. Hold my hand. Hold my hand.
Whoever is listening in on Zoom, please mute your device. Those who are watching with us on Zoom, please mute your device. We're now going to start Kriya. Yes. 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 Disconnect this. Or actually,
I need somebody else's phone. This is low battery.
It was 100% charged when I got here, but it's low battery. And you need to join me soon.
Sorry.
yeah. He needs the card to show service.
Must be something wrong. Letting it down. It's like you're on. I think she sent it to me.
Oh.
It's Zoom.
Yes. Have a direct message. No. That's why I said keep my mic.
Joe, what's in the black bag that's inside the aliyah? The speaker. I have no idea. Maybe it could be Samos or something. Rabbi. You want me to go to Google or to Safari?
What? I'm sending you a Zoom link.
Okay. How are you sending it by text?
Yes.
Okay, open it.
Okay, got it.
Thank you.
Okay, turn on in the spotlight. Yeah.
So you can be favorite. I can use my phone. Send that.
Video.
You're ready.
Hold it for a minute. Let me straighten out the.
1 second. Let me get it back into. Get me back in. Open up soon. Where were you? Okay. Let me just put it in. I got it.
Hold it for a minute. I want to open it out. Hold the phone out of the holder. I'm going to open it.
It's out of safe access.
Okay, right.
Okay. Is Tzvi on?
Yeah.
Okay. Ephraim ben Yaakov David HaKohen, an exceptional father, grandfather, great-grandfather, loving husband, brother, an exceptional Kohen, truly in so many ways, HaKohen HaGadol Me'achav, someone with such superlative midos, someone with a sense of dignity, a huge volume of knowledge of Torah, a love of Am Yisrael, Karas Yisrael, and of Eretz Yisrael. In Eretz Yisrael, his beloved son, a Talmid Chacham in his own right, Tzvi, and his mishpacha. Tzvi's children will lead us in Tehillim.
מזמור לדוד, אדוני רואי לא אחסר. בנאות דשא ירביצני, על מי מנוחות ינעלני. נפשי ישובב, ינחני במעלי צדק למען שמו. גם כי אלך בגיא צל מוות, לא ירא, כי אתה עמדי. שבטך ומשענתך המה ינחמוני. תערוך לפניי שולחן נגד צורריי. דשנתה בשמן ראשי, כוסי רוויה. אך טוב וחסד ירדפוני כל ימי חיי, ושבתי בבית אדוני לאורך ימים.
Your time with your children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren, some who are here, some in Eretz Israel. Marty, Dr. Marty Grumet and Judy, and their children, the grandchildren Avi and Leah Grumet, the great-grandchildren Noah, Anael, Mayan, granddaughter Alexandra, and Dubi and Daniela Grumet, Shelley and Barry Dorf, beloved daughter and son-in-law like a son, Michelle and Dov Bordoli, their children, the grandchildren, and then the great-grandchildren, Donnie, Sarah, Sam, Daniela, and Allie. Barry and Shelley's children, Ariella and Judah Fromer, and the great-grandchildren, Georgette, Ari, and Claire, and of course, Josh, beloved grandson. In Eretz Yisrael, the Ephraim son, Harav Tzvi, and Naomi Grumet, their children, Ruti, Yair, and Chaviva. Beloved daughter, Liba, and son-in-law, Joel, their children, Ayelet and Ari Rosenberg. Their children, the grandchildren, Jonathan and Fanny Mel, and the great-grandchildren, Kenir, Leo, Joseph, and Isabel. Grandchildren, Daniela and Dovi Drella. And beloved granddaughter, Aviva Mel. We're going to hear words of hesed and honor from a number of members of the Mishpacha. First, of course, the children, Marty, then Shelley, then Tzvi, and then Liba, then Lynn. Marty.
As I was thinking of my father's life, one phrase kept coming to mind. Ki Adam eitz hasadeh. Man is the tree of the field. My father stood straight like a tree, and his arms were strong like tree trunks, even into his 90s. A tree in the form of a telephone pole fell on him when he was just 3 years old, and he almost lost his life. My father was out of school for extended illnesses during high school, but he educated himself reading what he could, including the dictionary and encyclopedia. He relied on paper, product of trees. He was a lifelong student. My father married my mother when she was 18 and rapidly grew a family of 4 kids. He cherished my mother throughout life and most noticeably in their senior years. Thank God they were able to travel to Israel extensively and around the world. Soon after we moved to Borough Park, Dad found an abandoned sapling. He planted it in front of our house and nursed it to health. Today, it is the tallest tree on the block. We used wood to build closets, a deck in the backyard that served for play at our huge sukkah, and wood-paneled room for me to live in the basement. When everyone else in Borough Park was using wooden doors to build the sukkah, Dad created the first prefab sukkah from a big erector set, which I still use up in Vacation Village. Dad loved nature and the great outdoors. Summers were spent in a little wooden bungalow. Most of the time was spent outdoors, swimming and playing ball. Dad would come up on Thursday nights with all kinds of goodies, and one of my favorites was the balsa model airplanes with a propeller powered by a rubber band. They broke easily, but he would bring more. Dad made his living from diamonds, and he loved his work. To Dad, a diamond was a natural beauty, and he had a unique vision how to pick a diamond, that is, how to cut it. Dad was a master cutter, I often remember sitting in my father's office while waiting. I would hear him say, somebody would say to him, "Effie, how should I take this stone?" His advice was valued by all his associates. His counsel was sought by arbitration boards, and his reputation was impeccable. He also made me a star on 47th Street, because as I would walk on the street, lots of people would come up to me and say, "You're Effie's son." Dad's curiosity about diamonds was insatiable. He went to Brooklyn College and studied chemistry and physics to learn how to remove imperfections from the diamonds. He used a high-pressure car bomb to chemically remove them and a high-powered laser to drill them out. But nobody else saw the beautifully colored garnets in the diamonds that he brought to the curator of the Museum of Natural History. That taught me so many lessons and skills. The two most important are one, learn to learn on your own and love to learn, which he did his entire life. And number two, don't be afraid to explore, but be careful. Dad had many wonderful gifts that he bestowed on so many people and children. His quiet life of helping family members in need. Two, his wide smile. And three, his storytelling. It was so wonderful to celebrate Dad's 90th birthday in his vigor with a party, a video, a photo album, and a book of his stories put together by his grandchildren. Mom and Dad loved summers in Vacation Village, and we loved visiting them. In front of the kitchen window was a relatively small tree with beautiful maroon leaves. Last summer, it was not doing very well, and I trimmed the leaves, and Dad said, "It'll be okay." This summer, it was still alive. I had lots of dead branches, and I kept trimming it, and Dad said, it would be okay. At the end of the summer, I said to Dad, "It's going to die," and he agreed. Because of COVID, we found Kabbalah Shabbos in Vacation Village outside a couple of blocks up the road. We normally daven under a telephone pole near our house because it had a big light. When it began to blink, we moved further up to the next pole. I noticed a beautifully sculpted garden with fruit trees. And I said to Dad, "Let's plant apple trees." We researched it and agreed the best time to plant is in the fall. 3 weeks ago, I started looking for trees. Nobody had them. I found a nursery in Georgia that delivered the trees to Vacation Village this past Friday. And they are scheduled to be planted on Monday. Eitz Adam, ki Adam Eitz Hasadeh refers to fruit trees that you are not allowed to cut down because they feed man. Moreover, their seeds provide the growth of future generations of fruit trees. I had intended to plant these two trees in honor of my mother and my father. Now, one will be planted in Mommy's honor, and the other, Dad, in your memory. Dad, please, welcome me for all the offensive and inappropriate things that I said and actions that I took against you. I know that generations that you have built already will continue to bring forth meaningful Jewish life in your family and to the wider Jewish community. May your memory live on as the life of the future.
Was a giant of a man. He was not super tall, or super rich, or super famous. He was a giant in goodness and caring. He was a gentle soul. He cared about everyone else and had always put everyone else's needs before his own. He had a knack of always seeing the best in everyone and in every situation. With him, the glass was always more than full. He cared about his family. He loved his kids, his grandchildren, and his great-grandchildren. My father had a great zest for life. When we were little, he would take us every Sunday on trips. Museums, Statue of Liberty, Empire State Building, museums, and more museums. He loved his brothers dearly and was very close to them. But the real love of his life was my mom. They were an inseparable team for almost 70 years. He was the most devoted and dedicated husband. After raising the four of us, my mom and dad began to travel. They would go to Florida for the winter, Israel for Pesach, Vacation Village, not to mention all the trips, Hawaii, Scandinavia, Europe, and more. My father didn't have much formal education, but was self-educated. He knew science, medicine, history, geography, and so much more. When we were little, we used to tell him to go on Jeopardy. He probably would have been too slow, but he would have had a story to accompany every answer. He knew the derivation of so many words and always had an interesting story to share. Just a couple of years ago, as he was telling us one of his interesting tidbits of information, Josh said to him, "Sadie, is there anything you don't know?" My dad was known for his storytelling. When we were growing up, I remember him telling us stories from the Bible, Shimshon, Daniel, King Midas, Tutankhamun, and on and on. Recently, he began telling Swee's kids fictional stories made up involving animals. And for his 90th birthday, we compiled them into a book that was given to all the children and grandchildren. My dad was very talented with his hands. He redid bedrooms. He built the deck. And together with Marty, finished the basement. He painted a mural on the kitchen wall and in the bedrooms before specialty painting was even in style. When he and my mom retired, they both took up painting, and the walls of their apartments are filled with their artwork. In Borough Park, we had grapes growing in our backyard, and my father would make wine that we would give out on Purim for Shalach Manot. My parents and their friends formed their own book club, way before they were in vogue, and would meet periodically to discuss and review books. My dad was outgoing, and besides telling stories, he enjoyed acting. In Century Village on Purim, they put on plays. My dad, who was the kindest, gentlest man I know, was cast in the role of Purim, Merle on Purim. What a real spiel. He so enjoyed those plays and was so proud of them. My dad loved his religion and took his role of Kohen very proudly and very seriously. Since his retirement, he made an effort to go to Minyan every morning and attended many shiurim. When we were younger, he would come home and say, "How do you feel?" And I would say, "Fine." He said, "Good. I made a mishavera for you today." He would donate blood often and would proudly show us a sticker that said, "Be nice to me. I gave blood today." My father had been active his whole life. He played tennis until just a couple of years ago. Years ago, he even went skiing with my friends when we were in groceries. When he fell and broke his hip, the doctor asked him if he did any exercise. He told the surprised doctor that he was just at the gym that morning. Since moving to the Five Towns, people would see my parents walking through town, holding hands, and everyone would comment on how cute they were. The last 2 years of his life began to get a bit more difficult, as my dad dedicated his life to caring for my mom while having some issues of his own. His entire life was devoted to her. I would call on the phone and say, "Dad, how are you?" And he would answer, "Mom's doing well." He was suffering emotionally, but would never complain. He would stubbornly insist on doing everything by himself. Since the summer, we started to convince him to accept some help. On Rosh Hashanah in shul, my dad started to cry during the time of Holocaust, and on Yom Kippur during Duchen. When we asked him why he was crying, he said, "I'm worried about Mom." He never once thought of himself. Even when he was just now sick in the hospital, the nurses told us they found him walking around. He said he had to tell his wife where he was. Dad, you were always so strong and in control that when you got sick, I kept hoping that this was some bad dream. And I would wake up, and there you would be with your winning smile and sunny personality. But these 2 weeks have dragged on, and reality set in. The sadness just doesn't go away. We tried so hard to make you better. Marty and Barry moved heaven and earth to get you experimental stem treatment. Twice. There are no words to thank them for all their hard work. Dad, you were loved by all who met you, and I'm glad we had you for so many years. But we were not ready or prepared to see you go. We needed you for a bit longer, and Mom needs you as well. But Hashem decided that He wanted you more. We promised you that we'll take care of Mom, and we will do our very best, but she really needed you. Please be help me for anything I might have done or said, and for not keeping you safe.
Zvi is going to address us from Eretz Yisrael.
Daddy, I sat down to write a few notes, and then I realized that they weren't going to let me speak for 2 hours. So I thought I would tell a story. It was winter time almost 50 years ago. We got into a car to go somewhere, I don't remember. And when we opened the passenger door, there was a baby kitten curled up on the floor.
I want to ask him to wait. You want to wait a minute? You want to tell him to wait? Zvi?
Yeah.
Wait, Zvi, we're not able to hear you. We're trying to make it that we can. So if you could wait a moment.
Sure.
We're working on it.
Don't connect.
What if you put the microphone
Where's the
on
microphone?
your phone?
Give it to me. Tell. Okay, Svi, you want to try and talk?
Yeah, can you hear me better now?
Okay, try now.
Is this better?
No. Hold on, let me connect. Give me the thing. No, give me the thing. Give me the thing. Svi, 1 second.
It doesn't connect that loud. It doesn't connect that loud.
I'm gonna connect this to that.
I did that already. Nothing. It doesn't get that loud.
Okay. All right. We're gonna have to just try that. Svi, you could start.
Okay. Is this better?
Can you spotlight yourself?
Go ahead.
Okay. Daddy, I sat down to write a few notes, and then I realized they weren't going to let me speak for 2 hours. So I wanted to remind you of a true story. It was winter time almost 50 years ago. We got into the car to go somewhere, and when we opened the passenger door, there was a little kitten curled up on the floor. Mommy didn't like animals. She wanted you to get rid of it. But you couldn't. You picked it up, you put it into a shoebox, and you nursed it like it was your own child. You gave it milk with an
Svi, we lost your sound.
We're going to plug in a different mic here.
There you go. We can hear you. No, sorry, it went out again. No, we can't hear him at all.
You want to speak?
Okay.
Is your speaker working, John?
One
Let
second.
mommy speak on that.
Have him call your phone through WhatsApp, and I'll just pass him through that. Or just call him on one phone.
Svi, they're gonna try and call you so we can hear you.
Or however.
We could hear him and then it went out.
You want maybe should Lynn speak in the
Yeah.
should Leva speak?
Maybe you should.
Well, why don't you speak and we'll try and figure it out.
Hi, we don't have any sound. Do you want to have him speak through the phone and I'll pass it through?
Sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that now. Just have him speak through this phone.
Wait, Svi, talk again.
Yeah.
Who should I call?
Oh wait, I hear him now. I hear him now.
Yes, no?
Yes, 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 we can hear you. Go.
Okay. Should I start again? I'll tell the story.
Yeah, we know about the little kitten.
Okay, you know about the kitten. When the kitten died, you told us the story. That's what you do. It was a story you love to tell about Shlomo HaMelech. He wanted a ring that would make him happy when he was too sad and would moderate him when he was too happy. He called his royal jeweler and instructed him to inscribe 3 words on that ring. Gam ze ya'avor. I want to take a little closer look at 3 parts of that story. Daddy, you couldn't let that kitten be alone. Your warmth, your gentleness, your smile, the twinkle in your eye that saw a creature in pain. You had to help. You love animals. You love everyone. It was that same twinkle that made you see the good in others, that always saw the cup as mostly full even when it was almost empty. It was that same twinkle that enabled you to see what nobody else could see. The tail of a deer, the delicateness of a giraffe, the nobility of a camel, the petals on flowers, the colors, shapes, and shadows that enabled you to draw, to paint, and to weave the details which became the fabric of so many of your stories. It was that same twinkle which enabled you to flirt with waitresses, cashiers, receptionists, and even nurses in the hospital to make everyone feel good about themselves. It was that same careful eye that helped you become the master diamond cutter that you are. You used to tell us a story about Michelangelo. Somebody asked him, how do you do that? How do you take a piece of stone and carve it to make that? And the story that you told was that he looked at the stone. He told him, I look at the stone. I see the sculpture inside. I just have to take away the rest. You weren't talking about Michelangelo. You were talking about yourself. You could look at a raw diamond with all of its imperfections, and all you could see was what beautiful things you could bring out. That's the way you lived your life. You looked at diamonds that way. You looked at people that way. Chazal called that an ayin tova. And you had an ayin tova ma'od. Second part of that story is about mommy, and we've heard from Marty and from Shelly, and I'm going to echo what they said. You needed to take care of that kitten, but you didn't want to upset mommy. So you didn't bring the kitten into the house. You took care of it in the back hall under the stairs. Nearly 68 years of marriage, you were patient, caring, and loving beyond what any human can understand.
When you reach your golden years, you traveled together, you took classes together, you painted together, you shopped together, you did everything together. It was always together. And even during split, or especially during these last few years, you didn't leave her side. You took care of mommy in ways that no one else can, that none of us can. You worried about her even as you reassured her that you reassured us that you were reteaching her, and you protected her. You always protected her. For as long as I can remember, you acted as mommy's protector. What gvura, what self-restraint, doing for somebody else. Shelley told the story the first night in the hospital. You tore off your oxygen mask and wandered the halls looking for your wife. You needed to take care of her. And in my last conversation with you, you were on your back in the hospital with tubes up your nose, and you didn't even realize how sick you were. You were worried about mommy. That's all you wanted. Your love and devotion for her knew absolutely no bounds. And the third part of that story is about stories. You love to tell stories. Some real, most invented. And it wasn't always easy to tell the difference between the real and the made up. But it didn't make a difference if the story was true or not, because every story that you told had truth in it, and that truth was important. And the fact that it was you telling that story, that twinkle, that enthusiasm, the rise and fall of your voice, I can still hear it. Your masterful imitation of the animal movement. How'd you do that? I don't know. The sounds, even your facial expressions, they mesmerized us. They mesmerized everybody. They made you happy. You were happy when you were sitting with children, when you were sitting with grandchildren, when you were sitting with great-grandchildren on your lap, telling them stories. Every single one of us has memories of pictures of you telling stories. And Marty mentioned that for your 90th birthday, we printed a book, a collection of some of those stories that you made up. I want to close with a story or two that I don't think anybody knows. My kids this year learned what Pesach was without having Bubby and Zadie. They weren't sure what they were supposed to do without Bubby and Zadie. Whether you were awake or asleep at the Seder, it didn't make a difference. You were present. Your presence was there. We were so disappointed you couldn't come. Our home felt empty, but we felt bad for you because you were forced to have a Seder by yourself. For the last 2 weeks, I couldn't help thinking about that aloneness. You're in the hospital by yourself, surrounded by strangers you didn't know, wearing masks. You were alone the whole time. This damn disease that took you from us also separated you from us. It separated you from mommy. It separated mommy from you. It even separated me and prevented me from being there with you right now. Daddy, I ask Michaela of you, please forgive me for not being there with you, for not walking you in your last few steps. You're alone. You were alone. Echa yashavta badad. Avelut is about a loneliness so profound that you can only say it as a question. Last Friday night, I was feeling that. And when you were lying in the hospital, we decided at home that we were going to bring you to our Shabbat table. And we started to sing a song that it took me years to learn. Kol mekadesh fi Karahuilo. And we felt you with us. Daddy, thank you for coming to our Shabbat table last week. Yesterday at Shul, the Chazan started to sing. Avinu ha'av harachaman Hamarachem rachem aleinu. And when he started to sing, I closed my eyes. It didn't take me more than a second. And as I closed my eyes, I was traveling. I traveled 6,000 miles. I was sitting at your bedside in the hospital, and I was holding your hand. You didn't open your eyes, but I felt that you were hearing me, and I sang along with the chazan. I was holding your hand, and you were holding my hand. And then we got to Shema. And I said the Shema slowly, one word at a time, so that you could say it along with me. And I stayed with you. I was sitting next to you the entire time until it came time to Birkat Kohanim. Daddy, he was so proud of being a Kohen, a grandson of Aharon. You would go to the kotel and stand there and tell people, my grandparents worked on the other side. I let go of your hand so I could do Birkat Kohanim. And when I finished with V'yasein lecha shalom, I saw you resting peacefully. Daddy, I want to share one last memory. You were young, very young. Grew up in the bungalow colony for the summer. You would spend the whole week in the city while Mommy took care of us. One telephone for 33 families. Nobody made long distance calls. Thursday night was special. We would wait up until way past dark until we heard the carpool from the city pulling into the parking lot. And we would run out in our pajamas to greet you. We all cried, Daddy's home! We all fought to grab onto a piece of you. A hand, a finger, a leg, something. Daddy, you're not coming home anymore. I don't even know what that means. I look at your picture and I don't know what it means that you're not going to be there. You're not going to walk in the door and say, I had a marvelous walk, but I need to take a nap now. Daddy, you're not coming home to us. You're going to your new home. Give Bobby and Sadie a hug. Go meet Aharon HaKohen. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yaseim lecha shalom.
No, take care of Mommy. Even when you were supposed to be yourself. You already mentioned you in the hospital, you disappeared from the group. You were always looking for someone to pull money or let them know who you are. Daddy, I can't promise to be a spouse like you, but I can promise you that we'll take care of Mommy. Just want to ask the feeling from you any time that I didn't give you the proper respect.
Everyone knows that, of course, the Kohen was wearing beautiful vestments. The Kohen Gadol, the most beautiful royal blue and gold vestments, Choshen, the ephod, the mitznefes, and glory on his head. What does all of that represent? Is it his personal honor? Is it all about the God of Israel? How does he reflect the best of us before the God of Israel as he's dressed and adorned the way he was in the Big Day Kahuna? David HaMelech says, Kohanecha yilbishu tzedek. It's all about being a just and righteous person. That's the true beauty of the vestments of the Kohen. That's what should shine through when a proper Kohen stands before God. I had the privilege of knowing this Kohen when I was a little boy. I knew the family. I grew up a few blocks away. We davened together in the Radzina Beis Medrash. As a young boy, I watched and admired the mishpacha. I tried to race down and up the street when we were not inside, little kids outside of shul. We would, have races outside in front of the shul. I always lost to Tzvi, who was really an athlete and light of foot. Today, a great Talmud Chacham as well. I watched this beautiful mishpacha develop and grow, and now we had the privilege of having you, Ephraim, with us in our shul these past few years. The people at the Radzina Beis Medrash were years older than Rabbi Ephraim. He brought the median age down by a good 15, 20 years. He was always correct. He handled each and every one of us, our families, the dignified people of the shul. He was with kavod, with honor. He understood exactly how he could make his place in the Beis Medrash one of Yerushalayim, one of contribution in a positive, only a positive way. He was such an asset. He was such a friend. He was Kahanecha Yilbishu Tzedek. He was soft-spoken. He was very honest. He was direct, but yet always so kind. The softness of his voice and the beauty of his voice was a reflection of the softness and the goodness of his soul. Truly, Kahanecha Yilbishu Tzedek. He enclosed himself, adorned himself with righteousness and goodness, kindness, fairness, sensitivity. Ultimately, he comes now before the Kisi HaKavod. These are the begadim. These are the vestments that he wears as he comes before the Almighty. Rav Ephraim and Yaakov David be a Melitz Yosha to your beautiful children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. Your beloved Hensha, your brother Meyer, to live and be well. Be a Melitz Yosha for this beautiful family. Stand like a great Kohen Gadol on the Duchan Shalmala in Shemayim, and be Melitz Yosha for all of Klal Yisrael. And Nishmasit Tzrura B'Tzrana Chayim. We're going to begin the Kura. We will start, as is the minute, with the back of the show.
No. No. Mom.
You can turn the shovels over. Sorry. Please be very careful. Don't get too close as you step toward the camera. Stay where you are. Please don't get near the edge. Thank you.
Huh? What? Huh?
Yeah. And the speaker. The speaker.
Go inside, and then make it. Then we'll make it through. Sorry, this is the one. Kelly, take one. Give one to Leva, and one to Maya. Now going to say Tziduk Hadin. We'll recite Tziduk Hadin together. Liba, where are you? Come. Marty, we're going to say Tziduk Hadin. Hatzur Tamim Palo Kichol Drachav Mishpat. El Emunah Ha'einav El Tzadik V'Yashar Hu. Hatzur Tamim B'chol Palal. Miyom Arlo Matifol. Hashalit D'Mato V'Ma'al. Memis M'chayeh Marit Sha'ol V'Yo'al. Hatzur Tamim B'chol Ma'aseh. Miyom Arlo Mata'aseh. Ha'emer Ba'aseh. Chesed Kinam Lanu Sa'aseh. B'smus HaNe'ekat B'seh. Hatzila V'aseh. Tzadik B'chol Drachav Hatzur Tamim. Erech HaChaim. Molera. Amon V'Chusna.
Amon V'Chusna. Adon Aslichut
צדיק עצור אדינוי לא
Ayla
נשלח
Mikla
לי,
Hayot
אשר יעסוק
Yot
בכל
Kidon Kol
לך, זכרננו בנפש
Yunazneinu B'Chav Min Rachamim Alim Kilchar
אדם אין שונה יהיה אלף שונה יחיה
Yeh Olaf Shemit Yama Yisrael B'Lo
ברוך
Yaya
דיין האמס
Emet Lemitu Mechaya Baruch Hu Ki Emet Ino Meshutei Takol Ino Leim Yadam Ino Akol Yishmo Deyadi Yadanu Adonai Tzedek צדיק אתה אדוני ברחם באמת שופט צדק באמת ברוך צדק באמת נפש כמו חי בידיך עם צדק
תגיד יושר אדוני ריב לבוא אדוני הוא רפו מחפר רבון ולא ישכז והיבו להושר רפוי ולא ישכז תהילם קפיטל ממחס למנסח לבנו היקוי רחמיז משום זו יסקלהם ממזוניק יושר חלד גמרי אדם גם בני ישייח את אשר אביין פי ידער חוכמייס הלגש ודסנמייס אתל למושל אז וישתף שימה כדסקי למה אירע בימיירה אבוי נקייב היסודני הבוית כמל כלם בברייב אושם יסוד אלו אכלו יפרד יתל אל הלקאפ לביין כפיתי נפסם בחד אלו אילם וכירד לנצח לילה שחס כדה התקמים ממוס יחד סובבה יביידו ואוזלו אחרינו כלם קירבם בתן ולא אילם משתמש סמודר בדר דר משמייסם על הדובס ודן בקר בעל גלין נמשל כבהים וזדין וזה דרכם כסל לום ויבחרים בקיים יצוסל כצוין לשאול שעת ומה בסבירה ואם דבר משם לבייק בצום לעל שאול בזיבול לייק אק אל המיד תנפשי מיד שאלתי יקרפי ניסל אל תירקי האשי ישמיר בכבד בייסי לב מייסי יקק הכל וירד אחרם כבדוי תנפשי וחייב יבראי ידוקו כיסייתי לו דבו יד דור אבו איסו בבני צף לא ירבור אדום ביקור ולא יבין נמשל כבהי מויס נדמו
הקדש מרבה ימד עתיד אחד אתר להחיה מיתיה ולעסק היתו מחיימה בבני קרתא דירושלים לשחררי היכלי בגאווה מקר פולחנה מכורה מיערה ולטבע פולחנה דשמיא דעתרי ימליך קודשא בריחו במלכותי ויקרא בחייכון ומיכון וחיי לכל בית ישראל פגלה בזמן קריב אמרו אמן יהי שמי רבם ברך מעולם ויאמר מיה ברך ויתברך ויתפאר ויתמם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי לעילה מנקו בחטא ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה תמיבן דיאמה כמו אמן יהי שלום הרבה מן שמיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן עושה שלום ברמה והוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן.
Before the Kalmale, I'd like everyone to know how much the grandchildren prepared Divrei Kavod, and they will have the opportunity in Yirtzeh Hashem to express that these beautiful mishpachos that we in our community benefit from are going to continue to be a gorgeous, beautiful legacy for Rav Ephraim in Yirtzeh Hashem. In Yirtzeh Hashem, there should be times of joy in your mishpacha, always in His merit. El Malei Rachamim, Shechein B'Moedim. Hamtzei B'Nucha Nechoyino, Al Kanfei Ashechino, B'Ma'alois, Kidoi Shivu Tehoirim, Kazir Harakiya, Mazirim, Nesnishmas, Rabbi Ephraim ben Ya'akov David HaKoyhei, Shehalach Yoylamai, Ba'avor Shebnei Mishpachta Noivim Litzdaka, B'yad Hazkaras Nishmasai, Began Eden Tehein Nuchasai, L'chein Ba'al HaRachamim, Yesterday the says Knafav Li'olamim, Yitzror, Yitzror HaChayim Es Nishmasai, Adonai Hinachalosai, V'yadlach, V'sholem Al Mishkavai, V'noimar Amen. As we walk back to the road, may I ask the gentlemen to form, are you still here with me? I can ask the gentlemen to form 2 rows across from each other. And ladies, beyond us, this way, ladies, all the way over. 2 rows of ladies across from each other. One minute, Mr. Man. Yes, just a moment. I need another gentleman here. Thank you. So you'll walk between us and we'll wish you nichumin. Hamakom, Menachem Eshem, the Sov Shara, Ve'Litzir, V'Yishalayim. Should not go from any more sound, Marty, come on. Hamakom, Menachem Eshem, the Sov Shara, Ve'Litzir, V'Yishalayim. You don't have to say, it's difficult to say. What? How many years have been in the program? 4 years.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry. 1 second.
It's so difficult to say back in the I'm not talking about